Hello there, bounty hunters, and welcome back to the channel. This is Turntable to the Dark Side coming to you on behalf of rebelscum.com. For today's review, we've got the baddest bounty hunter in blue, Mr. Cad Bane, and his first ever vintage collection figure will absolutely blow you away. Stay tuned. This figure has been out for a while now, so hopefully you've had the chance to pick him up. But if you're still on the fence and just not sure if this is the Cad Bane for you, I hope this review helps you make the right decision. Buy this figure. It's truly top-notch. There have been a few other 3 3/4 Cad Banes released over the years, but never one in the vintage collection and never with this much articulation. Before we crack this bad boy open, let's take a look at the card back, which has the Boba Fett logo in bold red at the top, the name pill, and background behind Cad match the red perfectly, which I think really makes his eyes that much more menacing on the card back and on the figure itself. And speaking of the artwork, what a great image. Cad looks like a cowboy ready for a shootout, and I just love the Western vibes. On the back of the card, since it is about a year old at this point, we still have the list of figures in this wave. You like this style, or do you prefer the more recent design that includes a picture of the figure and a short character blurb? Let me know in the comments, and of course, this is VC number 283. On to the figure itself. Hasbro has given us a brand new figure with all new parts, which usually means it's gonna be a banger. So let's see if that holds true with this figure. Here's a close-up of our boy in blue, and as you can see, the details are on point. Like with any photoreal figure, the closer you get, the more paint dots you can see, but from a short distance, everything fades away and the paint apps look crisp and clean. The head sculpt looks excellent, and though it's different from his appearance in the Clone Wars and Bad Batch, they really nail his look in live action. His hat is removable, and you can see some additional details underneath. The hat itself also has some nice paint apps, the black band, and a couple hits of silver on the side. As we trace his tubes around to the back, you'll notice this little piece that it connects to here, which just kind of flops in and out. It's very loose in this peg, which at first glance, thought, whatever, you might think is kind of janky, but with how small these tubes are and wanting to be able to aim his head in some positions that might be a little more difficult to get them into with the tubes on there, I think the idea was for this to just kind of pop out when you're trying to aim his head in more extreme directions, and you kind of just tuck the box back there. But as you can see, it does pop out and it kind of flops around if you try to jack his head too far in any direction. But anyway, still not so bad. Just pop him right back in there and you're good to go. Moving along to his gauntlet, I really like the blue color that they used, along with the hits of silver and red for the buttons. Looks really nice. I also appreciate that they made this one tube golden instead of cutting corners and just kind of matching them both to this black look, because it really is a nice little additional detail that makes the figure just a little more accurate. His jacket seems removable, but personally I don't know that I'm going to try to do that. I think it's more designed this way just to add additional flexibility, so you can kind of pose without this getting too much in the way. You know, it's a very malleable plastic. It's not quite as hard as some of the other figures. So I think, you know, if you're doing a nice wide stance, yeah, this is terrible, but you get the point. Wide stance, you know, he's gonna look great. And then also, I love that they molded this piece on the side here to kind of wrap around his holster, so you could put him, you know, drawing his pistol here. It's just a cool little feature. Looks really neat. The rest of the paint apps on his torso and jacket look amazing, as do the silver hits on his ammo belt there, and also the ammo around his ankles. His belt is a separate piece, and you can see it kind of moves there. And it's not going to slide off, but it is loose for better posability. So you can kind of, like I said earlier, get some more dynamic poses. And this isn't going to hinder any of that movement. I mean, as you can see, it's just like kind of moving as I barely touch it right now. So anyway, nice feature. The belt holds both of his blasters there. And like I said, that one molded piece of his cape that goes behind the belt, so he can grab his blaster, quick draw on Boba. It's a really, really nice addition. Moving on to the articulation. His head is a double barbell, which on other figures would probably work a little bit better. But again, because of his tubes and kind of the restriction of this piece in the back here, it really limits how far he can tweak his head unless you pop this guy out and just kind of, let him stare at the sky and look very awkward. But otherwise, the range of motion on the head is excellent. His shoulders have ball hinges, which can pull a full 360. I don't know if that's natural, if, that's something that Cad can do in canon. His elbows bend nicely, but again, are a little bit limited just due to the gauntlet and molding of his sleeve there, and also the tubes. His wrists have a nice swivel and fully rotate as well. He's got an ab crunch and swivel here. On his legs, we have barbell hips. We have a swivel thigh. We have a hinged knee here. And then we have a hinge and rocker ankles. He doesn't come with a ton of accessories, but what mainline figure does these days? His two blasters are identical, with not a lot of detail, but the molding is pretty nice. Same with the hat. We do have some paint apps here, but again, nothing too elaborate, but still suits the figure perfectly. And I think that about does it for our Cad Bane Vintage Collection review. In my previous 3 reviews, even though I really liked the figures, I could find a few small issues that bugged me about each one. Not this time. I've got to say, Hasbro absolutely knocked the live-action Cad Bane Vintage Collection figure out of the park, and I highly recommend picking up this figure if you haven't already. If you like this review, please make sure to like and subscribe. This has been Turntable to the Dark Side, coming to you on behalf of RebelScum.com, and until our next review, may the Force be with you.